Diwali, or Deepavali, is a festival of lights, and one of the major festivals celebrated by the Hindus, Jains and Sikhs. In 2021, it is held on the 4th of November, while this year it will be celebrated on the 24th October 2022. One might ask, why is Diwali celebrated on a different date each year? The dates change yearly because they are based on the Hindu lunisolar calendar. In the Gregorian calendar, which is widely used across the world, there are 365 days in a year, which is about how long it takes for Earth to orbit all the way around the Sun one time. In fact, since the exact time is actually 365.25 days, we will add an extra day to the calendar in the form of February 29 every 4 years, which is also known as the leap year. Put simply, these additional 24 hours are built into the calendar to ensure that it stays in line with the Earth's movement around the Sun. In contrast, the Hindu lunisolar calendar is based not only on the movement of the Earth around the Sun, but also on the Moon around the Earth. There are also 12 months in a year, and since it takes about 29.5 days from one full moon to the next full moon, 1 year in the Hindu calendar has only 354 days, which is 11 days shorter than the Gregorian year. Using a similar conceptic into the leap year, we typically add back 33 days every 3 years, in the form of one extra lunar month of 29 days, known as Adhik Maas. The remaining 4 days are adjusted here and there, although Diwali always falls on the 15th of the Kartika month in the Hindu calendar. But how exactly can one person determine the Diwali date in the Gregorian calendar? I tried to Google it out, but to no avail. So after analyzing the past Diwali dates, I realized there are 2 rules being used to determine Diwali dating the Gregorian calendar. Rule number 1, if after adding one Hindu lunisolar year, which is 354 days to the current Diwali date, and the resulting date fall on 15 October or an earlier date in the Gregorian calendar, add another 30 days to it. This also means that year is a leap year in the Hindu calendar system. For example, the Diwali in the year 2000 is celebrated on the 26th of October, adding 354 days. We get 15 October 2001, since it fall on 15 October or an earlier date. Applying rule number 1, we add another 30 days to it, and we got 14 November 2001, which is the next Diwali date. Before we continue to rule number 2, take note that the Diwali date used here is based in India and not in Singapore. This is because the method to determine Diwali date in Singapore had just recently been changed. Since we have limited data to decode how Diwali date is determined in Singapore, I decided to use the Diwali date in India then. With that being clarified, we can now move to rule number 2. And this is where things might get a little bit tricky. If after adding 354 days to the current Diwali date, and the resulting date falls on 16 October or a later date, we need to check the exact time for the next closest new moon, which can easily be obtained from a quick Google search. This is because Diwali will be celebrated on the closest new moon date or the date with the darkest night. For example, based on previous calculations, the Diwali date for the year 2001 is on 14 November, and after adding 354 days, we get 3 November 2002. Checking the closest timing for the next new moon in New Delhi in India, we get 5 November 2002, 2 in the morning. Here is the thing. If the time is before 6 p.m., we will take the new moon to be the day before, which is 4 November 2002. And this is the 2002 Diwali date. Let's try another example to illustrate rule number 2 more clearly. The 2012 Diwali was on 13 November 2012. adding 354 days. The resultant date is 2 November 2013. Fun fact: if you guys notice, in a non-Gregorian leap year, we can easily determine what is the date after we add 254 days to it, which in this case is just 13 minus 11, which equal to 2. As in the 2 November 2013 here. The 11 days comes from the fact that a Hindu year is short of 11 days compared to a Gregorian year, as mentioned earlier. Next, let's check the closest next new moon timing, which in this case is 3 November 6:20 in the evening, since it is after 6. The new moon date will be 3 November 2013, which is the 2013 Diwali date. Before we move to the next section, one last interesting thing is we can generalize rule number 2 to rule number 1. What I mean is we can slightly modify rule number 1 too. If we add 354 days to current Diwali date, and the resulting date is 15 October or an earlier date, add 1 leap month, which is equal to 29 days to it. This is because it is a leap year in the Hindu calendar system. In turn, the next Diwali date will be the closest new moon date to the resulting date.